Hello, today let's talk about yet another affordable model that offers pretty interesting price to features and quality ratio. And it will be TRN ST5. It's not as affordable as some models I reviewed recently. Its price is slightly below $60. I will add links to the Linsol shop in the description if you decide to get them. But it's interesting hybrids with 4 balanced armatures and single dynamic driver. So of course it goes slightly above traditional $20 price range. But what we've got here in terms of sound, design and the rest, let's have a closer look and let's find out. Package is pretty simple with basic polygraphy, explode diagram of earphone on the back side, product photo on the front side, so pretty much straightforward in terms of design. Inside we getting box with accessory set and earpieces themselves, and of course some papers, manual probably or something like that. So what is here? Here we've got stock cable and big set of different tips, and also nice touch actually. It's replaceable jack. Oh, it's surprising they put three replaceable jacks here, and it's pretty good for this price tire. Let me pause the video, unpack everything, and then we'll continue. So, in the accessory set you'll get a set of 3 pair of black silicone tips and 3 pair of white silicone tips. White are a bit softer pair of foams, but what is most important here and what is really cool in this price tire, and TRN were really generous, they added all 3 type of jacks, so 3.5mm, Pentacon and balanced 2.5, so you can connect it to basically every possible desktop player. In terms of design, actually earphones are also great. What a time to be alive. Like some years ago, full metal shell and made with such precision and such quality would cost much more, and now you're getting this in $60 price range. And actually, as you can see, replaceable jacks also coming to more affordable segment, which is a really good news. In terms of shape, they are traditional, fitting nicely into ears, having slightly longer than regular spouts, so sound isolation is slightly above average. Still, of course, not the best option for subway or plane, but actually modern players are pretty quiet, so even during flight you'll probably be able to listen them without issues. And I must admit that craftsmanship level here is really good, so everything is done really precisely and accurately. As you can see, there is a lip for holding the tips and protective grill, so that part that I'm always care about. So let's try to fit the tip, and it fits really nicely and holds pretty well. Stock cable is also really good. I'm not sure about materials, but I think it's some copper probably, or maybe even silver plated, but it's not that important. What is important here, 2 things. First one, here used 2 pin connectors with recessed pins, fitting nicely into the sockets and holding really well. There is a ear hook, and the cable itself, as you can see, 4 wires per each ear. And cable not only looks attractive, it also feels great. It's soft, flexible with 0 microphonics effect, so really good in terms of ergonomics. And here at the bottom side we getting replaceable connectors. Just see that notch and arrow, push it, and that's it. Of course, there is no lock here, but connection is pretty tight, so most probably it will work great if you won't swap it too often. Of course, adding some lock here would be nice, but probably it costs much more in terms of price, because it's moving details and more work to assemble. Still, in terms of design, accessory set and exterior, I think they are offering really great value. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 48 hours of burn-in and there were no significant changes in sound, so if you decide to get them, don't spend time burning them in. And in terms of signature, actually it's something in between two previous models by TRN. They have a really popular VX focused on the micro contrast, resolutions and speed, and sounding like thin and bit bright. And if I remember right, actually TRN BA5, a bit warmer tuning for those who want relaxed signature. Here it's some kind of combination. They are pretty fun, but actually this fun coloration is pretty modest. So TRN decided not to go a traditional way and creating traditional like V-shaped tuning with massive low frequencies and like super focus on the micro contrast on mids and treble. And bass here is accented, but it's a bit on a linear side of things. It's a bit faster in attacks and decays. Depth is pretty good, and as well as punch and slam. That's where dynamic driver shines. But at the same time, don't expect like super massive low frequencies. Weight here is a bit less than traditionally done in such tuning, so if you need like super massive low frequencies, it's not an option for you. But if you prefer detalization and speed and good slam, it's a good option. Depth is also pretty nice, but deeper layers of bass are not super accented, but still they are present and build like nice solid foundation. Subjectively, to my taste, of course, it suits more some music with acoustical instruments, something rich in terms of overtones, but at the same time they are not highlighted, these overtones. And with electronic music it's also pretty nice, but if you have like a lot of such music in your library, probably you prefer something more massive. But nevertheless, as an example, I selected Juno Reactor Alien. Nice deep bass in the introduction that represents well by these earphones, and pretty good stage on the mids and treble builds a nice 3D effect that suits such music. Mids are kind of separated into two parts. Lower part has a bit of additional weight that they get from the dynamic driver, and on the lower part of mids they sound relaxed and not focused on the micro details. But starting from the middle mids and up, it changes. Armatures came to their place and they start digging into micro contrast. Actually, accent is present but not overdone. And here also they have boosted upper mids and treble to add more like effectiveness, more emotions, more attacks, and so on. Accent is not huge, but actually not like the one that I'd call small or like minimal. So basically you're getting a bit of incoherence here in terms of drivers, but still it sounds pretty pleasant, balancing in between both options. And what else? Imaginary stage is noticeably above average, not the most big one, but for this price it's pretty impressive. They are not super critical for the quality of recording, but because of good treble extension, actually they still prefer something with a properly recorded treble. But more on treble a bit later. First let me show you example for the mid frequencies. It's Leïla Martial, Left Alone, one of the best female vocals in my media library, with pretty decent recording quality. Of course, they not unveil full potential of this track, but thanks to that accent on the upper mids, vocal sounds really forward, emotional, and really engaging. And in terms of treble, it's a pretty good balanced armature treble with nice extension, not maximum but above average, with a bit faster attacks and decay that gives you that sense of airiness. And of course they lack layering. typical for more expensive models, but what comes to overtones representation, they are pretty well saturating them. It's not a model for those who don't like treble, keep that in mind, but to my ear they still don't cross the border of being too bright or too sharp. And as an example for the high frequencies, another masterpiece, it's Opeth and track Burden, like probably the most professionally performed ballad in the history of metal, or one of. Great vocal and nice guitar part, really good instrumental part, and it goes noticeably in the treble area. And these earphones played pretty nicely. In terms of sources, actually they are really sensitive. I don't remember impedance, like 20 ohms or so, but sensitivity is 120 decibels. So keep in mind that they require some quiet source. If your smartphone headphone output is noisy, probably you'll hear this noise. So, and anyway, they can benefit from some inexpensive, affordable dongle digital tonal converter. Luckily, there are a lot of now on the market. And about comparisons, actually just few models that I can recall. Fio's FH1S in this price range, they are more focused on the micro contrast, more analytical and faster. Same applies to TRN VX, they are more aggressive than this model, they are more detailed and at the same time brighter. TRN BA5, like I said before, is a bit more relaxed, not that focused. And something like single dynamic driver like Aria that by Moondrop that I reviewed some time ago, they are more coherent because it's just a single dynamic driver. But of course they don't have this airy super extended treble typical for this model, but at the same time they have a bit more weight on the mid frequencies. So that's it. A pretty interesting model that worth your attention. I won't say that it's like absolute killer or something like best model in this price tier, but it's really interesting in terms of sound, and because of materials and the rest, it's absolutely great. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.